Right now, my signature program, Scribble School, is open for enrollment, but not for long. This is the robust program that will take you from knowing nothing or a little bit about hieroglyphs to reading the common text you're going to actually see in museums, online, and on trips to Egypt. And there's a very special bonus available right now for the first 25 people who sign up by Friday, May 15th. They'll get the special bonus Hieroglyph a Day planner. This planner is not available anywhere else. It's not sold separately. This is the only way to get it. So you'll want to check out all the details and grab your spot in Scribble School at scribbleschool.com. Welcome to Voices of Ancient Egypt, the podcast for people who don't just want to learn about ancient Egypt, but want to understand it on a deeper, more meaningful level. I'm Melinda Nelsonhurst, an Egyptologist with a PhD in the field and years of experience teaching at the university level, working in Egypt, and training students around the world to read real ancient Egyptian texts. I've spent decades studying this civilization in a traditional academic setting so you don't have to, and so you can access knowledge that's usually locked behind academic walls. This podcast brings ancient Egyptian history, beliefs, and language to life, and shows you that learning hieroglyphs is possible, no matter your age, background, or schedule. So whether you want to read hieroglyphs in museums, on social media, or on your next trip to Egypt, you'll find the tools, stories, and encouragement to make it real right here. Let's hear the voices of the ancient world together. Hello, and welcome to the Voices of Ancient Egypt podcast. In this episode, we'll be featuring an interview with one of my students. This is part of a series I'm calling What's Working with Learning Hieroglyphs, where I interview students of mine to find out what strategies and tactics they're using to make tons of progress with hieroglyphs. These are real people with busy lives, commitments, and also a whole lot of unexpected challenges in life. And we're going to get down in the trenches with them and hear how they've been able to learn to read everything from common pharaohs' names to literature, letters, medical texts, and even the Book of the Dead. Let's jump in and hear what's really working for these real people. Thank you so much for joining me today, Marysa. I have Marysa on here with me, who is a student of mine. We've worked together for quite a while now, actually, both in my programs, Scribble School and now Master Scribes. So thank you so much, Marysa. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
So we've been, as I mentioned, working together for a while. It's been a few years now. I think you joined Scribble School at the very beginning. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a few years. And then when I started up Master Scribes, which was the next steps program, the next level after that, you joined at the beginning of that as well. And you've been making progress with hieroglyphs, of course, throughout that time. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about you and what got you interested in learning hieroglyphs.
So my name is Marysa Alexander. I am 39. My God, I'm 39. Jeez. Yeah. And now I've always been interested in ancient Egypt, always, since I was a kid. But life happened. I couldn't study what I wanted to. And it's like, you have your dream, you put it at the back of your head, and something happens. Like you come to a moment where you have a come to God moment where your head is like, Marysa, what are you doing? So I came to that situation in 2021 or 20, where I decided, okay, I'm going to start from somewhere, learn about ancient Egypt. And a few months after that, I saw your advertisement for Scribble School, which at first I was like, should I try it? Should I not? I don't know. Is this legit? Kind of. But I think it was you. You sent an email. Anyone who I think checked out your Voices of Ancient Egypt, there was an automatic email. And I remember the first sentence was like, oh, I hope it's not creepy, but I see that this side, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, a little creepy, but cute at the same time. Okay, fine, I'll check it out. So it was then I decided to join your Scribble School, which was the best decision I've ever made, quite honestly. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing to hear. And it's been such a joy having you in the programs and seeing your progress and how you've grown, because you did join Scribal School really in the very beginning, which I guess is about 4 years ago now. And then Master Scribes, when I started that, which was the next level program after that, you joined then as well. And during both programs, of course, you've made progress, and I've particularly gotten to work with you closer in Master Scribes and see you work through things and juggle life and learning hieroglyphs at the same time. But I'd love you to rewind the tape a bit in terms of, you talked already a little bit about like how you joined Scribal School. Could you tell me a little bit about maybe where you were after that and before you joined Master Scribes?
I would say it was a natural progression. I wanted to learn more, but I was also scared, thinking, am I ready for this next step? And I almost didn't join Master Scribes in the beginning. It was another leap of faith. I just went ahead and I persevered. But it's what you said, when you work through this material, don't just get stuck on one thing. Continue, go back, try again. And that helped a lot.
Yeah. So I guess you're saying like when you had finished up Scribal School, you still felt like maybe you were having a little bit of trouble with some of the word order or like verbs and things like that, which I think is natural. It happens for pretty much everybody I've met when they get to that stage. But you decided to go ahead and take that next step and move into Master Scribes and start working on some new material and then circle back on that as you went.
Yes, because I was worried because, it is a big step to take. So you think, am I ready for this? Should I just take some more time and redo all the Scribal School material and the Neftari material, get better, and then join this? But I thought, no, I'll take a leap of faith. Again, one of the best decisions I've ever made. So.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, about why was it the best decision you made in terms of, if you reflect back to that sort of, we could call it a problem really, where you felt like you didn't maybe have things down as strongly as you wanted, right? And so you weren't sure at first. So where are you now compared to there? And, how did you get there?
I have no clue how I got there. I really don't. But right now, I mean, the last practice session you gave of the Shipwrecked Sailor, I was just amazed. I was just translating it so much more easier, and it gives me so much joy. I'm like, yeah. So I don't know how I got from A to B to C, but I'm at C. So I'll take the win.
That's wonderful. Well, I mean, you can tell me if this rings true for you, but from where I'm sitting, it seems like you've been moving through the Master Scribes curriculum and you come and ask questions on our coaching calls when you need clarification on things or you're not sure about something.
Even if it sounds stupid or silly, I have to ask. And I think,
absolutely.
And I think joining the office calls, it has taught me a lot. Instead of getting stuck on one thing and then missing the office calls or forgetting to send you the questions in advance, you can answer it. I mean, I learned so much more within those office calls, just asking sometimes silly questions.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, there's no, I know I say it with us, but, for anybody else listening, I want to know there's really no silly questions or stupid questions. But I know that people sometimes feel like their questions might be that way. And so they might feel a little reluctant to ask. And I think that so many of you, and you definitely, Marysa, have done a great job of, letting yourself just ask those questions. And maybe you feel a little awkward or afraid or something in the moment, but you do it anyway. Right. Yeah. And I think that's such a important and brave move. And I imagine it probably gets a little easier too as you do it. So it doesn't.
Yes. It does. I'm like, okay, fine, ask whatever.
Yeah. And I know sometimes you join us live and sometimes you catch the replay. So you've been able to take advantage of the calls even when your schedule doesn't allow you to be live.
The most important is try and send you the questions on the link.
Right. So you can, the way we have it set up is you can submit your questions ahead of time. So if you're not on the call, I cover pre-submitted questions first. There's usually time on our calls for, kind of ad hoc questions at that time. But if they're pre-submitted, it's guaranteed I'm going to answer it during the call. And so Marysa has done a great job with that in terms of sometimes she's there live, sometimes not, but she submits her questions either way so that she can get those, whatever she does have questions about answered. And then she can always catch the replay later or go over it again too, if needed. A lot of times if people come live, they still might also watch the replay just to remind themselves of something, or maybe they weren't taking notes at the time and they want to take notes now or something like that. So we always have replays for those reasons.
And that has led to some fascinating discussions. I love your podium moments. And you keep on apologizing for them. I'm like, no, dude, don't apologize. Continue. Go on.
Yes, I do have sometimes the soapbox moments, and I want to use the phrase of like, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Sometimes that people use so much now with it. But I mean, it's usually because you all ask me a question about something related to it, right?
And then it led to something else, and to something else, and to something else.
Yeah,
it wasn't wonderful.
But I love the questions you all ask. And sometimes it's pre-submitted stuff that goes that way. And then sometimes it's just the stuff that somebody asked live that takes us in a particular direction. And even in Slack too, in addition to our coaching calls, we have the Slack community. And over there, sometimes we get into some interesting conversations and things that come up about, it could be about a particular text or object that somebody saw in a museum or something, or like one of my favorite sort of obscure things recently has been the question about whether mustaches were common during the Fourth Dynasty.
I didn't catch that yet.
You can go back and look at that in there. It was sort of just a fun little aside in terms of, somebody in the group asked about it because they'd seen some post where somebody was claiming that, ancient Egyptians didn't have mustaches or something like that. So he'd asked about that. Here's this one statue, but like, I haven't seen others. Was this actually a common thing? And actually it was. Actually, mustaches in the Fourth Dynasty were a common thing. And I actually just wrote an email last week about it too. So there's some in there as well about it, because I thought it made for a great topic to share our discussion in there. And, the fact that we do have mustaches, but a lot of times you might not see them because they were painted, not carved generally. And so if the paint is faded, then you can't tell if they had a mustache or not. But we do have enough that have survived with the paint that you can see that mustaches were popular during the early Old Kingdom. Not very often in other time periods, not very many other time periods it was common, but at that time seems to have been a trend. So that was sort of a little fun to,
that's cool.
Aside that we got on. And there's all kinds of things like we talked about. Why is the god Ptah referred to as south of his wall, and like things like that. That was one early on. We get off on other things. So of course we talk about the language a lot and how to read certain texts, but it also brings us to sometimes wider cultural questions or narrower ones like mustaches. So I love those discussions too, whether it be on the call.
I mean, learning through master scribes, I learned a lot about not the culture, what was I going to say? The history as well, because it always ties into something. You learn a lot, so I really like it.
Yeah, it's really true how reading the text themselves, of course, give you a particular perspective you wouldn't have otherwise. But then it's also about sort of placing those texts in the wider context, right? Of the history and the culture, and like, what does this stuff really mean? Sometimes we get into discussions about that too. Like, okay, we're reading the words, but like, what does he really mean by saying that, right? If he's describing himself in a biography, for example, the person whose the text is about, or if it's something that includes like the person's title, it's like kind of like a job title. Like some of them, like they're awfully obscure
and all that. Yes.
Yeah. And so sometimes it's, what does that really mean? And even if you can read the family relationships, like, well, it says his brother, but like whose brother? Wait, who are we referring to on here and stuff? And getting into those larger contexts of how this fits together. Both sometimes I include that stuff in lessons, but also when we discuss texts, oftentimes it comes up also there. So those are always fun to get into as well.
But also I have to say, you give us
a lesson
on how to study effectively. 20 minutes a day hieroglyph thingy. But those particular lessons you teach, which are psychologically backed, you can assign it to other parts of your life as well. It's not only hieroglyphs. Yeah, I love it. I like it. And thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm sure it has saved many souls from overthinking, over procrastinating, over criticizing. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that too, because those are all things that, like you said, it is when I do teach sort of study habits, and that I do back that with like actual research and science that's been done. But I've also personally experienced that too, because I definitely went through many years of, like you said, like overthinking it, procrastinating, because I think that I need to have like this perfect scenario and have all these things prepared, and have this big chunk of time or whatever. And I love that now. Not only have I realized that that's not a good way necessarily to get a lot done and make a lot of progress, but that I'm able to share it with you all. And like you said, it can apply to so many different parts of life too. It's not just hieroglyphs, right?
Yeah, I assign it to my artworks as well. When I paint, it's the same thing. Progress instead of perfection. Take the bigger abstract shapes. Don't go into the smaller details. If you can't manage it, it'll come on its own. It's the same principle. And you asked me a question: how did I come from A to B to C? And I would say those lessons you provided helped me a lot, because most of the progression I've made is actually mental. It's nothing. I mean, like, yes, you learn, you study, you try to understand, yes, but I think shifting your perspective into a healthy way, like what you always tell us to do, cannot get it perfect, it's fine. Just move on, do the best you can, come back again. And that helps you to relax a bit. And whenever you get something right, it gives you a bit of a dopamine rush. And you hook onto that instead of stress and criticizing yourself. So I think it's very important.
Absolutely. I love that you've gotten in that habit too of like not letting yourself get stuck on one spot because you feel like, because I hear this a lot from people that they feel like they have to get things like 100% down before they feel like they can move on to the next thing, right? But what you've learned is to move on, and like you said before, then sometimes circle back to stuff right later, and then you find that now things have changed for you, right? That snaps in basically.
Because in itself is a practice, the practice of pushing forward. Don't get stuck on one place, because at first it was quite hard because you're stressing yourself. Oh my God, have I got this down? Shall I move on? But with practice, even in that aspect, you get better at it. So it's much easier for me now. I'm not that stressed learning hieroglyphs.
And you realize that it's totally okay to move on to the next thing, and not just okay, but the best thing to do, really.
Yes.
And then when you get to a certain point, you might circle back and review some of that stuff again. And how do you find it goes when you do circle back to something that maybe you struggled with before and you come back to it after having worked on some other lessons? Does it feel different for you then? Has it changed in some way?
Yes. Because sometimes, you get the little rushes. Oh, this is getting easier for me to translate, when you circle back. But on the other hand, you figure out, you see it in another perspective. So you tend to ask different questions, if you know what I mean. So it's the same. You see it in a different light and you're like, this is interesting. Why is this here? Maybe I should ask that question,
Right. Because it's like you're at a different level now, right, with it. So it's like you have a different level of understanding, and it's kind of snapping in a different way, which then raises other questions that you wouldn't have thought of the first time around.
Precisely.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely like that. And I love that you do that practice and come back to it and then ask the questions when needed, because it makes such a difference. I know that I wanted to go back a little bit to sort of where you started in a way again, but in a different way. Sometimes I hear from people who are thinking about joining us, but they're not sure. They're worried that maybe this is going to be too difficult for them. They feel like hieroglyphs are really difficult. Maybe they've even tried before with, a book or something like that and didn't really get it. And so they're not sure that they should jump in with us. So I remember in the beginning you telling me also that in scribal school, you were really pleased that you did it now because you were really concerned in the beginning, actually, that it was going to be too hard. So I'd love to hear a bit about how you feel like considering your concerns and with it being difficult and stuff, like how did you overcome that challenge and be able to make this progress that we've been talking about now?
Oh, I'm stubborn, I guess. That's it. Yeah. I believe that if you are passionate about something or if you're interested in learning something for whatever reasons, big or small, if you really want to do it, you push ahead. You take that leap of faith and you do it. Yes, there are some teachers that sucks or some books that's so hard to digest. Like I could just imagine someone who don't know anything jumping into Alan. Yeah, no. But don't give up. If you want to do something, if you want to learn something, just go ahead. Take it. And your course is so nicely formulated. And it feels like I feel like a child learning something because it's so interesting. It's so colorful. It's so interactive in a way. It's not boring. So I like it.
Love that. So it ignites that sort of that childlike curiosity and
the playfulness.
Yeah, I love that. That's so wonderful. I also, oftentimes hear from people who want to learn hieroglyphs, but they feel like, life is really busy and they're not sure they can fit it in, or maybe they even have like a big life event going on right now, or they know they have one coming up and they just feel like, now's not a good time because of that. And I know that, you've made amazing progress in our programs, and it hasn't always been easy, that you've had a lot of stuff going on in life too. During your time in Master Scribes. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about sort of how you've used Master Scribes and the curriculum and support that you get there to continue making progress, even when, life doesn't go according to plan. And, maybe it feels like it's not the best time to be doing it. And how you're able to sort of, keep going with that and making the progress and learning hieroglyphs.
Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, I mean, like when I started Scribal School, I remember I was working, but I managed to set say 1 hour or half an hour at least, say before I went to work or after I came from work, to try and work through your material and to always try and join in with the office calls or the Facebook thingy. Yeah. And as you know, a few years ago, I fell ill, really ill, and that left me sort of in a state of paralysis. But your coursework for me at that time was like a purpose, a goal. So I didn't want to quit it. Again, it was the same. I did the best do the best I can, set aside some time. If I can manage it, I can. If I can't, it's okay. Again, at that point, you stress yourself sitting going, no, you should do it. But then you have to give the grace of time. You have to be kind to yourself, do the best you can. And the Slack group is amazing. And you can ask questions there. Try and join in the office call. Just do the best you can. Don't give up. Don't stop. Because once you stop, life is still going to happen. And then you're going to give yourself more excuses on why not to do what you want to do. Just inch forward slowly.
I love that. Absolutely. Like you were saying, it's like sometimes, that you're going to have weeks or even maybe months where you can't work for a bit, right? But then you get back to it rather than stopping. You take a break and then you pick it up again.
Yeah, I mean, this past month, if you notice, I wasn't that involved for like two or 3 weeks. That's because I was in an Ayurvedic retreat place in Budapest. I couldn't access my computer there. I couldn't work through the material. Was I stressing myself? Yes, I was a bit. But when I came home, instead of just procrastinating, going, can I finish it? Can I make it? Nah, you just got to start from where you last stopped. Even if it's just office calls you missed, you will re-listen to them, take down notes. Then start on the homework or the work you missed. Just start small from somewhere. And then it builds up a momentum. And it just, and I caught up with all the practice sessions, which I'm very happy about.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I love that how you've learned, even if you maybe still do stress about it a bit, that you've learned that's okay to take those breaks, right?
Yes.
And come back, and that you can jump right back into Master Scribes in the curriculum and in the community and,
Yes.
pick up again. Because one of the things I think that maybe we don't talk about it as much, but I think that one of the things that can be really helpful in those situations is just knowing what your next step is, right?
Yeah.
So you go back to, like you said, where you were last, you might review a couple lessons maybe, or maybe you feel you're ready just to pick up where you left off, but you have that structure built in. So you always know kind of like what's next.
Yes. And always start from somewhere.
Right. If you might go back a bit and review, or if you pick up where you left off or whatever, there's
heck, even just go to go to your Slack group and just check out the messages.
Right.
That itself, yeah.
Absolutely, because you're so right. It's about starting, right? And that helps build the momentum with getting back into the groove, right? And so you can start small or what feels easy at the time, whether that's just looking at Slack and seeing what's been going on, right? And kind of getting a feel, but jump back in.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. So as we wind down, I know there's going to be some folks out there who are considering joining us in this next round of Master Scribes. And, they probably have a lot of questions and hesitations, or they're not sure, they're evaluating their options and aren't sure about the decision and whether they should really jump in now. And I was wondering what you would say to someone who's in that situation. They're thinking about possibly joining us, but they're not sure if they're ready to jump in.
That depends on your instinct, doesn't it? I mean, if you really want to join in, but the only thing holding you back is your own fear, then don't listen to that. Jump in. If the only thing that's holding you back is fear and your own sense of procrastination, don't. Just jump into it. See where you land.
Right. And they can, follow your example, right? With even if stuff happens, it's okay. You can do it a little bit at a time, take breaks, come back, whatever, you don't have to wait for that perfect kind of scenario, right? That seems like that's been sort of a theme of.
The traditional thinking of, you have to wait for the safe moment or the perfect time. If you miss it, it's too late. You just have to say goodbye to it. No, you carve your own present, I think.
Absolutely. And like the old saying goes, the best time to plant a tree might have been, 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a nice one.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, Marysa. I love it. And I look forward to continuing to support you in Master Scribes.
Thank you for this.